Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Mashle, Magic and Muscles episode 10. So, what did I think about this week's episode? To be frank, I thought this week's episode was fantastic. I thought this episode was very important, as well as we got to see pretty much the true power of a divine visionary, which is, what Mash himself is striving to become. And we get to see how powerful they are, and to say that they're powerful would be a complete understatement. Now, before we go any farther, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my martial magic and muscles, as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So how the episode starts is we actually see Dot and Finn confronting the two remaining fangs of Magia Lupus. And we see that Dot is actually like, oh man, this is going to be a tough fight because, two of them against us, it's going to be very tough. And eventually, the fourth fang, he walks out. He's like, okay, it's up to you, you take care of it. And, the female member of Magia Lupus, the fifth fang, she, just kind of tells them like, hey, tell me you love me. And then they're like, what is this? And it's like, she just keeps repeating like, tell me I'm cute, tell me you love me, don't you love me? And then you just see Dot like, I just met you, dude, like I don't know about love. And she's like, what, you don't think I'm cute, or you don't love me? And then he's like, this girl's really pushy, but damn it, I love these chicks, I love the pushy type. And you just see Finn like, oh my god, dude, come on. And then eventually, she's like, what, like, how dare you don't love me? And she attacks Dot, and Dot eventually counters it, with his own explosive magic, and it kind of cancels out. And then he once again says like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry if I don't love you, like, I got a girl, my future wife, it's Lemon, and she's amazing. And just a heads up, Dot, you're not gonna get a Lemon, that's Mash's girl, so move on. You it's not gonna happen, buddy. I love you, I think you're cool and all, but that's Mash's girl, okay? Future fiance, if you may say so. But what we see is that, Dot eventually, he gets attacked by, the girl, and she just, wipes the floor with him at the beginning. He's being overwhelmed, and what ends up happening is we cut to a flashback scene, and what we see is that, childhood of Dot. And I thought this was great because we could see a little bit of insight of more of Dot, because we haven't really gotten the whole picture of what his childhood was like or his backstory. And in this episode, we got to see pretty much, what his deal is. And we see that, as a kid, he was very timid, very shy, and, he was kind of getting bullied. And eventually, you see these kids like, hey, can I get your broom? It was a brand new broom that he just got. And, they're like, swap it with mine. And he's like, but yours is old. And, they take the broom away. And eventually, you see a older person, take care of those kids and give the broom back to Dot. And that older person was, Dot's older sister. And we see that she is a very kind-hearted person, and she, wants to take care of her brother. And she tells her brother like, hey, don't let them bully you. And he's like, no, because if I try to step up, it's going to get worse. And the sister eventually tells Dot like, eventually, this is going to be bad if you just keep taking it. It's like, why is that? It's like, because your friends, they're going to want to, step up and do something about it. And they won't be able to, you won't be able to prevent them, because you're going to find eventually friends that are that cool, they care so much for you that they'll step up and, do what you don't want to do yourself, or that you're too afraid to do. And then we cut to, the flashback of, when Mashle was taking care of the metal wizard, as well as the chick that was lying and, manipulating Dot. And we see that pretty much Dot is thinking of Mash, and he sees Mash as a true friend. And, this is very big character for him, because, up to this point, we know that he's fond of Mash, and he cares, and he thinks Mash is cool and all, but, he starts realizing, like, what, he is a true friend. Like, and, this is great. Like I said, I think this was very important for Dot going forward in the story, because we got to see bits and pieces of him. He's very comedic, very fun, but we also got some depth to him, and I think that was very important for his character. So what happens after all that is that pretty much Dot, he snaps out of it and just kind of breaks out of the spell that the female, she was putting on him. And we see that, Dot has a secret ace up his sleeve, and even the fifth member of Magia Lupus, the fifth fang, she's like, well, what is this? And we see that, Dot had a new power up, and his power is, it's a mark. And this mark pretty much increases a wizard's capability of magic, depending on his emotional state. Now the fifth member, she's like, whoa, this is like too much. Like, I'm supposed to be a double liner, and this guy, he's catching up to me, like, with this power. It's like, no way, you're supposed to be a scum. And she attacks him, and Dot perfectly just cancels that attack out. And he eventually, overwhelms her and he defeats her. And what Dot does after, defeating her, he goes and tells her like, hey, piss off, like, you get out of here. Like, I really don't want to, hurt a girl, but you're asking for it, girl. And then she's like, oh my god, thank you so much, like, and she leaves, like, because he did give her a warning. So I don't know if this is hinting at probably this chick now is gonna be like, whoa, this guy's cute or whatever. Like, maybe Dot beating her, gives her like a crush, like, oh my god, this guy is so cool and so strong. And so if that's what's gonna happen, then that's very ideal for Dot, because now he will have his own girlfriend. But we'll see how all that develops in the future of the story. But what happens after that is that pretty much the fourth member shows up, and we see that Dot is already gassed out. Like, he's exhausted, he took a lot of damage, he used a lot of magic, and we see that the fourth member attacked Finn, and he uses this big like rock monster thing, and he's about to chew on Finn, and Dot steps in, and he takes the hit, and now he's taking that huge hit, and he's exhausted. Like, he's already exhausted from fighting the fifth Fang. Now the fourth Fang took a direct hit on him, and that was like a sneak attack too. So Dot is out of the equation, he's tired. So then we see the fourth member launch an attack at them, and you're like, oh no, this is it for them. But what happens? He gets one-shotted. The fourth member gets one-shotted by, you see a sword just go and not pierce him, but push him off. And then we cut to a new member that we got to introduce in this episode, which is the first divine visionary we see in the series, and that's Reigns. And this dude was so cool. This dude is awesome. And this dude, like, he proves what a divine visionary should be, and that's the top of the the magic world, the wizards, how powerful you can be, and to attain that title. And just from this episode alone, this guy, he proves his worth as a divine visionary, because this guy's pretty freaking strong, to say the least. And what we see is that the Reigns guy says like, hey, what were you doing here? He's like, oh, I was just, I wasn't doing anything bad, and I'm sorry, I was forced to, because our leader, he forced us to do it, it wasn't my fault. He's like, okay, that's fine and all. And then he's like, just proceeds to beat the crap out of him, like, and he just starts kicking him, and he's like, oh, well, you said you're sorry, but that's funny because actions are louder than words. And he just starts beating the living crap out of this guy. And the second I saw that, I know I wasn't the only one that thought about, like, when Levi was beating the crap out of Eren in early in Attack on Titan. This scene was hilarious. I loved it, and really showed how ruthless and cutthroat Rain can be when it comes to to punishment. And he pretty much then looks at Dot and the fifth member, and he's like, are you guys what are you guys doing here? Like, get out of here, piss off. And then they're like, okay, and then the chick just dips, and that was the smartest thing she's done in this entire series. She just dips, and that was funny. And then we see Dot pretty much being like, that I'm so glad that this guy's in our side, because otherwise we would have been taken down. Like, this guy's way too strong for us. And then we cut to Finn, and Finn just goes, brother. And we're like, whoa, like, big shocking revelation. Like, Finn not only has a brother, but he's also a divine visionary. So now I'm expecting a lot of big things from Finn. And because if your brother is this powerful, then the potential that you have in this bloodline of yours, then I'm just waiting for Finn to snap and become like, have his big Gohan moment, because I really think Finn has a lot of potential. So I want to see him do something, because right now in the story, Finn's been kind of a background player when it comes to these fights, because Lance, Dot, and Mash have been in the front and center, while he's been taking the back seat. So I'm expecting a lot of big things from Finn in the future. And what we see eventually, Rain, he goes down deeper to the ground, and he eventually stumbles upon Mash, and he tells Mash like, hey, I'm here, pretty much, the old geezer upstairs, he told me to come down here and check everything out, and I'm gonna check you to see if you have like any magic. And he just starts attacking him, and then Mash just he makes a clown out of him. Like, to be fair though, he starts off with a 3%. He's like, he only uses 3% of his power, and Mash just kind of easily blocks it. And then he's like, okay, final test, 10%, and he does a 10% attack, and Mash completely blocks it again. And he even made he at the first, when he was 3%, he made a whole chair from his swords, which was hilarious. And then the next time, he's just punting them like on some baseball techniques. Like, this was funny. And by the way, just a side comment, Reigns giving me Gilgamesh vibes from Fate Zero and the Fate series, because this dude, just the way that he spawns these swords and attacks your opponents, it was pretty much like Gilgamesh. Like, it was his best interpretation of Gilgamesh. So pretty much how things end is that Reigns tells Mash like, hey, just so you know, Abel is no joke, and you might need this. And he gives him like a piece of cloth to heal himself, and he tells Mash like, hey, Just so you know, this guy is probably one of the top shots, and he for sure is a shoo-in to become a divine visionary in the future. So you gotta watch out and don't take him lightly. And his puppet magic's very powerful, so just watch out and do your best. And then Mash is like, oh, I will, I'll definitely do my best. And we see that he leaves, and then we cut to Mash. Pretty much, he's outside of the gate or the door or whatever where Abel is, and then he just starts thinking about Lemon and the plushie that she gave him, and he's like, you know what, screw this, and he just knocks the door open. And then the guy just goes, do you really have to knock every single door that you stumble upon? And then Mash, just in the most Giga Chat way possible, he just goes, sorry, I meant to knock. And then you're like, whoa. And that's how the episode ends. So this episode was awesome, and I just gotta say it, Reigns is a badass. I love this dude. He's incredible. He is the GOAT right now. I can't wait to see just how powerful this dude is, because he only used 10% against Mash. And to be fair, Mash was hurt and injured, quote unquote, when he had just fought Abyss. So Mash wasn't fresh, but still he was only using 10%. So I think this guy might actually give Mash a shot for his money. So I'm very curious to see how powerful he is later in the story. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more martial magic and muscles, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.